Can you actually change your mood, maybe even become happier, just by changing the bacteria living in your gut? It sounds like science fiction, right? Well, that's the huge question we're digging into, based on some incredible new research from the Ruth Ley lab. I mean, really think about that for a second. We tend to think of our personalities, our behaviors, as being hardwired by our DNA. But what if there's this whole other force at play? A hidden world inside of us that's pulling the strings on how we feel and act every single day. So, to get to the bottom of this, we've got to look at some pretty amazing science. Let's dive into the groundbreaking work happening at one of the top labs in the world for this kind of thing. Okay, so at the Max Planck Institute, you've got the Ley Lab. These are the folks on the absolute cutting edge of this field. They are obsessed with understanding this deep, ancient partnership between us and our microbes, exploring how these tiny organisms literally shape who we are. But here's the thing, scientists in this field have been stuck on this massive puzzle for ages. It's a classic chicken and egg problem. What's more important, our genes or our germs? Right, so picture this. You inherit your genes from your parents, that's your biological blueprint, but you also inherit their microbiome. So when a trait gets passed down, how in the world do you know what's responsible? Is it the DNA or the bacteria? For the longest time, it's been pretty much impossible to tell them apart. So how do you untangle that knot? Well, this is where the team, led by Suzuki, came up with something truly ingenious, a brilliantly designed experiment to finally isolate the microbiome's real influence. Okay, this is the genius part. They used mice that were all genetically identical, basically clones. And on top of that, they were germ-free, meaning they had zero microbes to start with. So the mouse's DNA, you can think of it as the hardware, is completely fixed. That means you can finally test the impact of the microbial software all on its own. And here's how they did it step by step. First, they gave these blank slate mice a microbiome from a wild mouse. Then they measured how active all the mice were. Now here's the clever bit. For one group, the selection line, they only took microbes from the least active mice and passed those on. For the other group, the control, they just picked randomly. And they did this again and again for 4 generations. So what happened? After 4 rounds of basically breeding a microbiome for laziness, did it actually work? Was there a change? Oh yeah, it worked. The results were just crystal clear. Look at this chart. The mice in that selection line became way less active than the control group. It's a massive, undeniable difference. And this is a huge deal. They proved it. A behavioral trait was passed down through generations using only the microbiome. No changes to the mouse's DNA whatsoever. It was all in the germs. And they didn't stop there. They dug in and found the likely culprits. A specific bacterium called lactobacillus and a chemical it makes were way more common in the less active mice. And get this, to double check, they gave just that one bacteria to other mice, and yep, their activity dropped too. Incredible. Okay, so this is where our minds should be a little bit blown. What does this all actually mean for us, beyond the lab? Which, of course, brings us all the way back to the big question we started with. If you can transplant low activity, can you one day transplant happiness? All right, let's be super clear here. This study was about activity level, not a complex emotion like happiness. But, and this is a big but, it's a massive first step. It proves the concept. It shows that in principle, a behavior can be transferred this way. The door is officially open. So the big takeaway? Well, this could be a game changer. It suggests our microbes might be a kind of fast track for adaptation, helping us change way quicker than our genes can. It's like a second inheritance system. Now, of course, we've got to keep our feet on the ground. This was a very controlled lab experiment with mice, not people, and activity level is a whole lot simpler than a human emotion. So we're not there yet, but the potential is just staggering. This quote from the Ley Lab really says it all. We might not always need our genes to slowly mutate to adapt to the world. Instead, just changing our microbial partners could do the job, and do it fast. So I'll leave you with this thought to chew on. If this science continues, and one day we could engineer our microbiomes to select for certain traits, what would you choose? And maybe more importantly, who gets to decide?